Hi, I'm John Meggiolaro, host of Sports Talk for This Week in East Brunswick. If you're a real football fan, then mark the 2 weeks of September 10th and September 24th on your calendar, as we will air my interview with former Giant head football coach Alex Webster. But to give you a sampling of what's in store, let's show you a few minutes from those interviews.
I think you were fortunate you coached against some top coaches in the NFL.
I certainly did, and there were some funny incidents too. My first time it was against Coach Lombardi, who, even though he was my coach and probably one of the toughest men I've ever met, but a fair man. And he had left Green Bay and it was in his last year with the Washington Redskins. And you know, it was just a big thrill for me to walk out, and he gave me that big smile, and I said, "Don't you smile at me." I said, "I'm going to get you today." And he laughed. And the other one was Paul Brown, who I think everybody he was, you know, all-time great coaches.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to call him. I didn't know whether to call him Mr. Brown, Coach, Paul, by his first. I wound up calling him Coach. Just great people, great thrill. And come to head coach in New York, there's just so much involved in it. You just can't believe the people and the personalities that you meet, and the invitations that you get to go places. And you know, from a little guy from Kearny and a small town and coming out of East Brunswick, it was a big turnaround in my life and my career.
You mentioned Vince Lombardi. Has Vince been misinterpreted about his saying win at all costs?
No, that was his philosophy, and I think his philosophy is excellent. I think if everybody thought and worked and what endeavor of life that they work at or what field they're in, if they had his attitude to be number one. I have a number of things at home. He says that he played in 2 runner-up bowls in Miami, and he says that's the last time I want to be a runner-up. I want to be number one all the time. And I think if everybody had that philosophy in their work and the way they approach life, they'd be a lot happier. I mean, every day, even though it looked like it was going to be a bad day, it was a good one. He had an object every day that he had to conquer and do. And great religious man. He went to church every morning. He had a great family, just beautiful people. Worked for him, very hard fellow at work. But he was fair. He treated everybody the same way. And the only one that was ever treated different were his quarterbacks. And he felt the quarterback was his general on the field that day. But he would take the quarterback behind closed doors and was worse on them than he was on us. So that was the type of man he was. He wanted nothing but perfection. Everything had to be down the line. He just couldn't tolerate mistakes. Your ability, yes, you could get beat, but don't make a mistake. You should know what you're going to try to do. If you couldn't execute it, he could fight that.
How about Tom Landry? I mean, we see Tom Landry, he's still coaching, one of the greatest coaches, a very stoic kind of fella. Is he a different kind of guy?
No, Tom, I played 2 years with Tom in '55 and '56. And Tom turned, he was the defensive coordinator, and I guess it would be '58 and '59 before he went to the Cowboys. Very intelligent, another very religious man. Had a lovely family, lovely wife, and great kids. And Tom was like Coach Lombardi. They had the same philosophies in life, but different approaches. Vince was the hard-driving general, like a Patton, and Tom was the quiet guy. But he was always 1 step, 3 steps in front of everybody. But his philosophy was a little different. But you respected him. And if you didn't, he'd get rid of you. And that was Coach Lombardi's for him. If you don't want to do it my way, then I'll find somebody else you can try it with. And it's a hard nose. I think he would have a hard time today with the union and the way how strong they are, but he would work around it somehow.
Alex, you were fortunate enough to both play against some of the greatest players to play the game, coach some of the greatest players, and be the opposing coach to some of the greatest players. Greatest quarterback you ever saw?
Well, that's hard. Played with a lot of great ones. Charlie Connolly. To me, Charlie was a running back when he first came out of college, and yet through the Lombardi era, he changed him into a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't have that high school and college background. Then Y.A. Tittle come along. The latter part of his career, he was absolutely just super with us. I mean, one of the better throwers in the league. Otto Greene, who I played against, one of the all-time greats. One of the craziest and my closest friend, and it was Bobby Lane. I mean, his philosophy and living was completely different, but got the job done and was an all-pro in the Hall of Fame. Frank Gifford, there was a guy that he had so much talent, he could play every position. We all know he's a broadcaster today. You can't believe the dedication, the work that Frank did all through his playing days to get where he is today. From the New York acting school, the speech classes, to, and going back to California and the movies and trying to perform, into what he's doing today. We used to laugh at him. Now he's laughing at us. But just super.